I started to make meal preps, just cleaner eats. And
it's because you were always into like kind of eating cleaner, or you just used to just,
I mean, us athletes, right? We try to, we're a little bit more conscious of,
your position maybe. Hey, us, we had to kind of carry the extra load, be a little bit more stout, you know what I mean? But no, going back to your stuff.
Alo is your body, your essence. Ha is your breath. So alo is life, aloha is breath of life, And I always think about that because
hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Village HI podcast, a community for elevation, inspiration, and empowerment. I'm your host, Rocky Savaina. There's excitement with every guest we have on our platform, whether they have a huge social media following or it's the people that we mix with in our communities every day. Everybody has a story and everybody has a unique journey. It's those stories and journeys that can change and impact lives for the better. And that's why we're here. Today's guest is Waikoloa Noa, the owner of the Valley Health Bar. And I'm stoked because he's a former teammate of mine at the University of Hawaii, and I got to know him over the years, but he's a true representation of aloha. And it brings us to our episode today, Operating on Aloha. So let's get into it, man. What's up, my man? Brother Wikes. Appreciate you, brother. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, Rock.
There you go. So how you been, my man?
I've been good. Busy, but we rocking.
So, business, the Valley Health Bar, how's that going?
It's special.
Yeah.
I don't have to have a social life because I can just go there and, get stuff rolling, see so many different people.
Yeah.
See so many different smiles.
Mm-hmm.
They bring me smiles, but it's been impactful.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. One thing I want to touch upon is that, a couple weeks ago, I got to stop by the shop, right, and have lunch. It was a long overdue. The amazing thing that I really want to touch upon is being in there, you treated everybody like family. Like, hey, brother, hey, sister, how you? Hey, how's the wrap? How's the salad? You know what I mean? Like, greeting people, by their names if you knew them. And even if you didn't know them, like, you acted, or, it was real. It was genuine. Like, I could really feel that, Why is that something special for you, operating like that or just being like that with your business?
That song, the sweetest sound.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the words?
And he's a singer too.
Let it be the sweet, sweet sound in your ears, I feel like, everybody has so much stuff in their life.
Yeah.
So when somebody comes into my life, brand new or been there forever, I always want to be somebody that can share my gift of like, aloha and encouragement and like know that they can always come someplace where like it's okay.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's a safe place.
It's a safe place,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, my mom taught me that right there for sure. Yeah.
I was just gonna tap into that. The way you are can't be faked. You can tell when somebody's genuine, when somebody's authentic, and the spirit that you have is just natural. How was your upbringing with your parents or your family, the family dynamic? Like, how was things poured into you that, made you like this? Like that really solidified this personality or this spirit within you?
Shucks. I appreciate that, Rock.
Yeah.
Those kind words. But we came from like humble beginnings, We're born and raised in Hana, Maui.
Yeah.
I lived over there till about 9 years old, but we never have electricity, no hot water, no ice box.
Dang.
Right?
That's crazy.
But we live right on the water. Beautiful, plush. Green grass straight into freshwater ponds.
Wow.
And my mom had this uniqueness that she would, because we didn't have much, right? No ice box, no more TV, the generator.
Really just making do with what you got.
Yeah.
Man.
We had one generator and the generator would run the ice machine.
Mm-hmm.
And my job and my other brother that's a year older than me, our job was to fill the ice, the coolers with ice every morning.
Yeah.
So we let go the water from the day before, boom, add new ice. But my dad and my uncle guys, they used to go lay net, my dad is like a master in the water kind.
Yeah.
He taught me, when the waves is coming and he's going to throw net, you're watching for that little glisten every time a wave comes up. You can see, there's a fish right there.
Yeah.
So we never eat candy when we was young. We used to eat kamani nuts, these It's little Hawaiian almonds.
I heard of that. I don't know. I mean, if you can elaborate on that, because I've heard of it, never really.
So my mom used to take us walking along the beach side, and this beach side is more like kind of like black sand, little small black rocks, you know.
Okay.
So
almost like not cylinder, but I mean cinder.
Yeah, kind of little, but more smooth, you know. So we used to walk. I mean, back then you could walk on that barefoot. Yeah. Now no way. Yeah,
a little bit softer feet. A little bit softer feet now.
Right. But my mom, she was using coconut oil and stuff like that, aloe, way back in the day.
Before it became these huge products in these places.
Right.
Huh?
And she was always like, you know, the ultimate elegant woman where like, you know, she always believed, you know, look good for yourself, not for nobody else.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, have pride, you know, have pride in yourself. But anyway, we used to walk down the beach and we used to grab these little kamani nuts and they dry out and you put them on a rock and you smash them and inside is a Hawaiian almond.
Oh, wow.
And that's what we used to eat for snacks.
Is it sweet?
Nah, it's like on regular dry almond kind, you know? Yeah.
Oh, that's cool though. But I mean, really living off the land, you know what I mean?
Right. And so we never have big bucks, right? We never have money, you know? But my mom and dad made us feel like we had everything, you know? Like we really was, you know? Yeah. We was, you know, we billionaires in different ways.
Exactly.
You know, and I truly believe that, you know? I remember this one time, my oldest brother, Nahe, he wanted a candy, right? So we were at, Hasegawa's or Hana General Store. Only get 2 stores in Hana, you know, no street lights, no McDonald's. So my mom's like, okay, grab the Snickers. And at the time, we only had 4 of us.
Yeah.
So the 4 oldest. We came home and my mom's like, okay, take the Snicker bar and cut them in 4 pieces, right? Yeah. You know, so share with your siblings, right? So he takes the candy bar, just a regular, back then, never have king size of that, right? So he goes and cuts, you know, a big piece and then 3 little white pieces.
Oh, where's the equal opportunity over here in this?
But my mom, she goes, okay, thank you. And I was the youngest at the time.
Yeah.
She goes, okay, Waikoloa, go pick. I take the big one. But I was young, you know. I didn't know, you know. Anyway, that was, Hana days are special.
Man, that's so awesome that you touched upon that because, you know, nowadays we compare ourselves to everybody else's stories or the things that they have, right? And like you said, hey, we all millionaires or billionaires in our own ways. And I think if people really took that type of like outlook or perspective on things, I think people would live with more gratitude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, hey, we can focus on, you know, everybody got problems.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Everybody has things that they have to deal with.
Yep.
But hey, if I look at the little things I have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, one little Snicker bar, you know what I mean?
Right.
Some people is comparing because they're not going to, you know, Dave & Buster's, all these big places, but like, hey, one little Snicker bar is good for us. You know what I mean?
Right, for sure.
So, you know, that's great that you touched upon that because it kind of gives a better outlook of like how you became as an adult. You know what I mean? Because like, man, like you guys were being taught like hands-on real life things, you know, that you take into this work world, you know. So when was the transition? You know, you guys lived in Hana,
right?
Like, how did you guys transition to Oahu?
My mom's family is, I mean, born and raised in Kuleoa. My tutu's house is the second house in Kuleoa. Before that was when the first house was like on Pig Farm up on the top. I'm not even sure if the cameras lived up there at the time, but yeah, my papa, he was the chief of police. He had some money. My tutu, they had 14 kids, my mom guys. Yeah, so the transition from Hana was kind of like a heavy one because my dad, you know, he had this vision of Hana Hawaiian Village. And Hana Hawaiian Village was an equivalent to what Polynesian Culture Center would be.
Oh, wow.
But would be in Hana. And a whole action went down where, you know, the state was trying to shut my dad down or shut the project down.
Like he built this from the ground up kind of thing?
Yeah, unreal. Yeah, wow. So behind our property was like this L-shaped brackish water pond. Shucks, we used to swim in there. I mean, that's the best memories. But cold. But my dad was able to make this L shape. He put a 2-tier stage where it could have like dancers, entertainment, musicians on the top. And then he got blue rock, which he made man-made bleachers.
Wow.
So it was all rock that you could sit on. And on the top was a pavilion because my tutu used to own the stew house in Kalihi. So they used to cater Hawaiian food. So my mom knew how to make Hawaiian food. My dad's a good cook. They started making Hawaiian food.
Everybody coming together and making it happen, you know?
Right. And it was unreal. A little bridge to walk over the water part, the corner, you know, like just a visual. And I mean, in Hana, I can remember sleeping on Uncle Willie K's stomach.
Wow.
My dad he said the eulogy for Uncle Dennis Pavao, his funeral, like
Some big time names.
yeah, Chris Officer, you know Chris Officer.
No, not really.
Coach Glanville,
Yeah.
right? So when Glanville was at UH, right, I went up to him one day. I was like, "Hey, coach, you know who Chris Officer is?" And he was like, like,
What you know about this
little
guy?
Hawaiian kid,
Yeah.
what? I said, "Oh, I was best friends with his son Jody when I was in Hana."
Wow.
And he was like,
What?
"Son, I gotta show you something, right? Because he's from like
Somewhere in the south.
somewhere in the
or something.
south, right?
you
He's
know.
like, yeah. He busts out his business card, and on the business card is him holding Chris Officer and Johnny Cash.
Dang, Johnny Cash.
Right. But that was Hana had like still has such like a grip
Yeah.
in my memories and my obviously
No, I mean that your dad was a true visionary because I mean, you go to a lot of luau's nowadays, you can, pick up things that you like from each one. But
Right.
going back all those years ago and you creating something from the ground up,
Yeah.
like that's pretty awesome, man.
Oh, unreal. Yeah, he made his own siphon because they're trying to shut him down like it was a fire hazard, and he was able to siphon the water from the pond into the hydrants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he came up with that on his own. I was like, oh.
Hey, touching upon some
go
of the
ahead.
things that you're talking about, what do you ever see a need where maybe the youth nowadays have to go through or be a part of programs that like can really teach people how to live off the land or like how to be resourceful with the things that they have?
At the Valley, right? There's so many big businessmen that come in and like because we're by the Capitol,
Yeah.
we're right next to Queens Medical Center. The directors come, the owners of big businesses come, doctors. This guy comes in from Kamehameha Schools, and I'm not sure what part of the logistic team he's part of, but he starts rapping with me, and I told him, I said, one of my dreams is to have a school. Somebody can do it out there, do it, that has the funds or whatever, but one of the dreams was to have a school where it's you come in and you learn how to operate and how the ocean operates,
Yeah.
how the land operates, how the mountains operate, how the stars and the the weather operates, because Hawaii is so dynamic, so much
for
to
sure.
learn,
Has so much to offer too.
right?
Yeah.
So Rock, when we turn 12, 15 years old in our family, my uncle used to live in Waimea, Big Island.
Okay.
Like in the Spartan era, where it's like, they sent off the boys to
Yeah.
go kill the whatever the
It's
animal.
like you leveling up,
right?
and you kind of grow and maturing, right?
At that time, the boys get sent to Waimea to go live with my uncle. He was on rancher, but he's on tough cookie too,
Yeah. He can teach you some stuff.
right? He's on hammer,
Yeah.
right? So you go over there and you train for football, and then you learn life,
Yeah.
I remember being up there, and that's the first time I drove on truck or drove on car.
Yeah.
My uncle's like, "Get over here."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, for real?" And it's a big truck,
Yeah.
Oh, driving straight into straight into like the high grass. He's like, "Get back on the road."
Yeah.
But
you're gonna learn those things because it's
Right.
hands-on. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's so much different when somebody's telling you, "Hey, this is how you drive,"
Right.
compared to being behind the wheel and learning to really drive. You
for
know what I mean?
sure, it's the first time I use a knife to cut. First time I shoot one shotgun or like the the pellet guns.
Yeah.
Was like all over there.
Yeah.
But then you waking up, you training.
Yeah,
but-
you're active. No, that's good. Like my dad was a farmer, so I grew up. My dad, had a farm for Samoa, grew taro, and then came to Big Island, and so I can relate because it's the thing. Like one, that was our family dynamic. We worked on the farm. We worked, with the family business, but you learn things hands on. And I'm not saying anything against school. There's things that we need to learn in school.
Right.
But I do believe that being hands on, working with the resources that we have in nature in general
Yeah, for
teaches
sure.
things that really these are skills that you use to this day.
Right,
You know what I mean? Like
right.
it's cemented in you. And I think one thing great too is that you learn to become resourceful. You know what I mean? Is because, you have things where it's like, hey, this is what I got. How can I make do? So the things that you learned working with your uncle on his ranch.
But yeah, just quick,
Yeah. But is some of those things where, whether it was your, your parents, your dad too, help, was that a reason why you and your siblings became successful?
like Bob Marley said, what is success, Success is, being able to see somebody like you, Rock, and like have a, like a true conversation and have a real handshake and a hug, Often people want to invest to make money,
Yeah.
In Hawaii, there's a gold over here where it's like, people whether invest in people.
Yeah, for sure. In relationships.
Right.
No. So it's just like, being successful, but like you said, I do understand that people invest in people just to make money, but then you're investing in relationships. Right. But touching upon that though, I want to lead into this is, we talked about this before and you brought up something that I thought was so like special in the fact that it represents you, pehe'oi. Like, like when you, so going back, I had a conversation, our team had a conversation with White, we just talking story on FaceTime. Within a 15-minute span, this guy's talking story with us, and I think you're at Foodland or something, right?
Yeah.
And this guy, like every couple minutes, hey auntie, hey uncle, brother, sister, like, but when you were saying it, like you really cared about like them. It wasn't just like, oh, and that was it. It was like, hey, how you doing? Like you took, a little time to really just engage with them and really ask or you see how they're doing. But you mentioned something to me about pehe'oi. Like, can you elaborate and go into that?
Yeah, so pehe'oi, right? It's how are you in Hawaiian, right? The true essence of that scene is when Hawaiians would ask back in the day, how are you? Generally they're asking you not just how are you doing today, like, how's life going?
Yeah.
Do you need help? If I said, pehe'oi, how you doing, Rock, right? And you're like, oh, right? If somebody's asking you, how are you, you openly can say like, oh, I'm doing okay, but I need some help building one fence.
Yeah, because it's sincere, right? It's coming from a good place. Yeah.
That person generally will be like, okay, you know what? I'll go grab my sons and I'm going to come help you.
Yeah. That's cool though, because I think today we're so hesitant in asking for help. And sometimes we get drowned in our problems, you know what I mean? Or like things that we just, like simple things, you know what I mean? Like I just might be something at the house, like I'm so backlogged on it, I need the help. But, being somebody like you and like, hey, how you doing? Hey, I can gather some of the boys, we can just come and help real quick. But just that comfort level of being able to, hey, I do need some help. I don't think we see that a lot today. Everybody's so sheltered or confined to the fact that I'm good. Nah, I'm good.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, that's dope, man.
And a lot of people are busy, That's where it's at, right? Putting your time in.
Yeah.
Putting your time into like my tutu. So she used to, when she was older, she was confined to this big comfort chair. And she used to sleep in the kitchen in Kuli'o. So there we have like a big, like almost like a commercial kitchen type of deal. She used to sit in there.
Because that's the one that used to have the stew house, right?
So my tutu used to own the stew house in Kalihi.
Okay.
Which was, right? Lokomokos is brown gravy on everything. The stew house used to have plate lunches and he used to put the Hawaiian stew gravy on top.
Ooh.
Hawaiian stew gravy is like a little bit like the, like translucent kind of like that comfort soup that we eat in the winter time.
Like corn chowder kind.
Not corn chowder, a little bit more, what was it? Anyway, Hawaiian stew gravy, right? But it's unreal. She used to sit inside the kitchen and people used to call all the time. I mean, Tutu's kitchen, Auntie's sister, they used to call her. In that kitchen, I used to see Ben Cayetano before he was governor.
Dang.
John Waihe'e. And I was just a little kid.
In your guys' kitchen?
In the kitchen. Right? Because she was strong in the Democratic, movement. She used to say, difference between the Democrats and Republicans, they both squeeze in the big fat pig, but the Democrats give a little bit to the poor. And I was like,
I don't know much about politics,
so
but
I see all the politics too,
yeah.
But it was cool to, I was like, oh, this guy. And then so we would have to go serve Hawaiian food because they would give her a room when they have the floors, right? When it's like election time.
Oh, okay.
Where like all like the lobbyists or whatever, right? They get a room for, anyway. She used to answer the phone, okay? But before answering the phone, she could be yelling at all the grandkids, stressed out, like, hey, you guys got to go check the pots. Hey, make sure, bring the car over here, grab the ice, fill up the coolers, da-da-da-da. And somebody will be calling and say, oh, how you doing, auntie sister? And she said, oh, I'm doing good. How you doing?
Yeah.
And I was like, one time I was like, hey, Tutu, how come you said you was good and you just, going at it just now, right?
Yeah.
She's like, people calling you sometimes, they need you.
Yeah.
They need your voice. They need your goodness, your kindness.
For sure.
I never want to be the one to rob that from them.
That's good.
And I was like, oh, that's
that's heavy. Yeah.
Right, but it's real.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think that's where my mom gets that from too.
Yeah. Like, I think the thing with your uncle is good because it really shows people how to be resilient working with what you got. Right. Everybody wants more. Like, I don't got that connection. I don't have this. I don't have enough money. Right. You got something. Right. Figure it out.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the part with your uncle that's something good to highlight,
Yeah, I wanted to say that, I'm a college graduate, but I believe to be culturally rich is more valuable than to be Western educational
Come on, man.
rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that type of outlook.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And thank my mom for the push, but having both sides,
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, there's so many people that poured into you. Like, I think you guys were well-rounded. You know what I mean? Because like you had influence from your dad, your mom, your uncles and grandparents, and then your uncle. Your uncle. I think I already said, but I think that's why like it's so unique to see someone like yourself is because it's like, man, you had awesome people to pour into. Like, right. And I think
very
sometimes that support that because sometimes I think there's people that we see out there who don't have that opportunity, and you can kind of see the struggles as they get older, right?
Right.
How was the success of like, like yourself, like, okay, now we're getting into the career world, like going, because you're a flight attendant Hawaiian, right? Getting into that, was that just something spur of the moment that you want to get into or opportunity that you see?
When I graduated from UH, I went straight into being like one-on-one with the special ed students.
Oh yeah, like
PPT or
paraprofessional, or something like that. I think
right.
Skills trainer.
We
all
right.
Hey, that was opportunity. You know what I mean? Right. Hey, that's the transition to the real world for us.
That's a transition, and so I did that for like a semester.
Yeah.
I want to say at Kaiser High School, and then one of the teachers stepped out. They gave me the real Kalohe ones. I was able to give them a little bit of love where it's like, hey, you should go into sports.
Yeah.
Instead of going this direction, how about you jump into some a sport,
a little bit more organized,
right,
and structure.
Right. And at the end of the summer, the director of the special ed department asked if I wanted to become a teacher because somebody stepped down. And I remember having the job interview with the principal at the time, and this guy was on real kind of like stern, brash, type of personality, and he's looking at me like, little boy, what are you gonna do with this 20 special ed kids, 30 special ed kids that come into your classroom every day, right?
Yeah.
And I remember he asked me, he was like, why do you think you're qualified for this job? And I want to say that he said it like that, like like almost condescending, right?
Yeah, like, what makes you think you qualified
you can do this, I didn't have like a scholarly answer, I told him, I said, one thing I know for sure is that you can show me somebody inside this classroom and their story, and I can show you somebody in my family that can relate exactly to them.
Come on,
in my family, you
never dropped the mic and go boom,
and he did. He sat back, But I said, I have family members that are, special ed.
Yeah.
I have family members that are wheelchair, burdened, or not burdened, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's uncles that went to jail for, Kalohe stuff. I got family members that are on Kalohe stuff.
All of us do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's all of us. Like all of us have family members, and sometimes it's easier for us to talk about it and not. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't mean to cut you off on that, but talking about family members being on Kalohe stuff, or just we have friends, right? We all have friends that have.
Right.
There's something that you mentioned a while back was, or I heard that you help some friends or family members get into rehab. Can you touch upon that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of fell in my lap, where it's like, I came back from junior college, right? Because before UH, right, when junior college, I was in Southern California. When I came back, I was asking about a friend to the group of boys. I was like, hey, where's so-and-so, And they're like, oh, he never heard. And I was like, I thought he died or something. I was like, wait, what's going on? He's like, oh, he's leaving down on the beach. And I went, what?
Yeah.
And I already knew,
Mm-hmm.
just because the environment where, he comes from, there's a lot of like housing around, And I said, wait, none of you guys, what?
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
And that day I was like, I'm going. I picked up my good friend, Kim Kennedy.
Yeah.
One of my closest brothers, pick him up. I said, hey, we got to go grab him.
Yeah.
And he was like, even him was like, what? I said, we're grabbing him.
Yeah.
So shoot down to the beach.
And for you, there's no hesitation. Like, bro, we need to do this.
If there's a position in the army of the big guy, that's one of my gifts.
Yeah.
One of my works that.
That's so good, bro.
But anyway, so we jump in the car, shoot down over there, get over there, and there's all kind action over there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is heavy. I kind of was nervous too because, they probably don't want people like asking like, oh, where's this? Who's this?
Yeah.
Where's this person, in their camps and stuff like that. Anyway, I see him from the distance. I was like, oh, and I was scared. I didn't know how he was going to react. He was actually holding one golf club.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, this guy might whack me with this club.
Because you don't know the mindset.
You don't know the mindset, right? I get over there, and still to this day, I'm thankful that, his heart got heavy, And I told him, I said, cause this is not you, This is not you. Let's go, Come with me, And he's like, he was saying it like, I'm okay, don't worry, look. He made one 9-putt hole on the beach. And he's like, look.
Dang.
Me and this guy, we get a little putting green, And I said, this is not real life, cause, you get people that love you, you get family members, so much more life, Anyway, still scared. He's telling me, I'm not gonna go, I'm not gonna go. And there's this other guy, he's like, oh, leave him, And something just came over me, and I just told him, I said, I'm not gonna leave because I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah.
And I just sat on the curb. Said, I'm not going nowhere, bro. Anyway, he jumps. In the end, he's like, okay, let's go, Thinking that it's just gonna be like, oh, let's get him out of here and he can run away.
Yeah.
I slept with him that night. I slept next to him. The next day, I put him into detox. I was calling all my friends that had money, or like I was part of like the churches and stuff like that. I was like,
because rehab is not cheap. I mean,
right?
Like that's a lot of. I mean, do you know ballpark numbers? I mean, so you went through the process like of rehab.
His one was about 12,000.
Dang.
Right. His one about 12,000, and I had about $12 in my bank account. And I was like, oh, how are we gonna do this?
But going back to everything that you learned along the way in life, right? You learn to be resourceful. How I want to make it work. Right. That's the great thing about this. I'm gonna make it work. Even if I have $12 in my pocket, I'm gonna figure it out.
There's a bigger picture.
Amen.
The bigger picture is he need us.
Yeah.
There's nobody right now.
And we will come through.
Yeah, we will come through. I'm a believer of that. Like I send people like, yeah, just thinking of you. Have a good day. I just thinking of you.
Yeah.
So they know like, hey,
that's so good, my man.
I love you. Hey, have a good day. Like I think us men, we need that action too, right?
We need it, man.
Days,
yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's the whole basis of doing these talks, right? Is because people need to hear that, like, you just saying that, right? Like, hey, I shoot my friends, the brothers, the bros, like whatever, like these texts, because I really do care. And sometimes because they don't hear it or they don't see it too much, everybody, I don't know how to react. You know what I mean? But I think when people hear these conversations and it becomes a little bit more normal, they're used to it. Like saying the I love yous. You know what I mean? Like I'll say I love you to random people just because like, hey, I love you enough, like I hope for you to have a good day.
Right.
I may not have a relationship with you. I may not, hey, but I love you because I want everybody to have a good day. I want everybody, hope everybody's in good, in a good well-being, right?
For sure. What's the hardest people to say I love you to? Is actually your siblings, your cousins.
Yeah.
One of my cousins, he's a man's man.
Yeah.
So he comes to eat at the shop, comes by himself, The first time he came, right, shake his hand, I said, I love you, Kyle,
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, cousin, see you later, right?
I love you, brah.
And he's walking out and saying, I love you, Kyle, he's like,
Yeah.
He comes, a couple days later, boom, I love you, Kyle, Maybe I should just say I love you, cause right? But we started, and then I'm saying I love you to him, and now he says, I love you first,
Yeah.
And but for me, that's what it's all about, because I love him.
Yeah.
Like you need me, I'm gonna be there,
That's so good, man.
But yeah, love is powerful. Love is action.
Yeah.
I read My Uncle Weston told me this. How's this one? He said, funny story. We break down. Our car breaks down, and it's right next to his house, his property. So I call him like, oh, Uncle, our, truck broke down right in front of your house, da da da. And he's like, oh, you know what? I'm not home, but I get AAA. Okay? So he goes, I'm going to call AAA. They're going to come over there. Okay? But the thing is, I got to be there for you to get AAA. But if they ask you, what's your name? Tell them you me, but try not to lie. Right? Oh, it's so funny. But, but his saying has always been, I'm so busy. I no more time for the devil. I only get time for the big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I'm so busy, but it's so funny.
Yeah. Wow, that's classic, man. But it's so good because, man, like you lead by example. You know what I mean? Like it's so easy to just talk about the stuff that we should be doing, but you live this. You know what I mean? Like you really live it, and I think that it kind of contributes to the success of your business. And we haven't really touched upon that yet, but going into the Valley, opening the Valley Health Bar, right? How did that come about? Like, I mean, because that's a whole, that's different. You know what I mean? Because on the island, we're used to plate lunch, 2 scoops. Your grandma had a stew shop or stew house, right? So we're used to that 2 scoops rice, extra mac salad, maybe another extra mac salad, extra gravy. You know what I mean?
Right. So
how did you come about, like saying, like, hey, you know what? I want to get into this avenue of business. Yeah. And what made you commit to it?
So when COVID happened, nobody could fly, right? So all of us that was, flight attendants, we was just collecting unemployment, So staying home, and I was like, I got to do something. Yeah. I can't just stay home all day, right? We're all locked in our house. So started for cook a lot, and I started to make meal preps, just cleaner eats. And
it's because you were always into like kind of eating cleaner, or you just used to just,
us athletes, right? We try to, we're a little bit more conscious of,
your position, maybe. Hey, us, we had to kind of carry the extra love, be a little bit more stout, you know what I mean? But no, going back to your stuff.
But all the local boys, we finished our 220s.
You know what I mean?
Right?
Yeah.
I remember that, So we started to make meal preps. I had about, little under 20 people. But what I noticed was that there was a high return rate. And while I was making the food, I was like, this is very zenful for me. I enjoy, cutting, and this is kind of wild, but I don't mind washing dishes. I like being around like the whole aspect of, the kitchen,
Like creating it. It's all
right. There was 100% return rate.
20 for 20.
20 for 20, right? And I was like, this is something.
I might have something here.
Right.
Yeah.
That was an aha moment, So how the health bar came about was just at the tail end of COVID. My friend's family has a property, there's a little shop on, and there used to be like a poke shop.
Okay.
So my uncle, he was the nucleus of these 2 people. There was 3 owners. I guess they never really get along or something. I don't know the full story, but COVID was his chance to step out of the shop, of the restaurant. And I run into my friend. I was just like, hey, how's the restaurant going? Da da da. And he's like, they just closed. Oh, wow. I was like, oh, no kidding. I said, what you guys gonna do about it now? He's like, I don't know, probably put it up on Craigslist for rental. And I don't know what came over me, and I was just like, give me 1 week. I'm not even kidding, I said, give me 1 week. He was like, done,
Yeah.
Take your week, and I just dove in. I disappeared from the world. We was already disappeared from the world because COVID, right?
But you need to do that.
Right.
To think. Right. To be, engulfed in like the things I really need to think about, right?
Right. And I jumped in and I was like, this is just like a winning touchdown, this feeling. This is just like making a good play, making a big play, And so that energy, I literally just dove in. I did all the research of like how to start a business for dummies, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Was there fear? Were you fearful like of just things like it not working out, or when you start something brand new, a business, you know what I mean, something that you really don't know for yourself, right? Like there's so much fear that consumes us. Like what was kind of like those feelings that helped you get over?
I want to say that the fear was actually more of judgment of like, you're not the healthiest eater.
Yeah.
You're not a businessman.
People picking apart, picking us apart kind.
So I didn't tell one soul that I was gonna open up the Valley Health Bar.
Yeah.
Nobody. I had one friend that helped me. That was helping me. When I say nobody, I mean 0. Just my friend. He was like somebody I could bounce ideas off.
Yeah.
He
get the feedback you need. You know what I mean?
Right. And he'd be like, try this. You know what? To be honest, I never even worked in a restaurant in my life. But he worked in a restaurant, so I just was like, opening day in 3 days. And then my siblings are
Oh, you
all
committed like that? Just
So I dove in, and 1 month later from that week that I said,
I needed that 1 week.
that 1 week, that 1 month later, we opened up the restaurant.
Dang.
So for 1 month, I just,
All in.
and people talk about, they say success. Success is me writing down 100 things for me to do on that Monday, right? I tell them on Sunday, I'll take it. Monday, 100 things. And I did all 100 in
That's
that day.
awesome.
The next day, 103 things. I did all 103 for this whole month, And
that's being about it though. You know what I mean? Because everybody has great ideas.
Right.
Everybody wants to do things like this. But are you willing to do those 100 things?
Right.
You know what I mean? Are you willing to check off these boxes? Like, not
Right.
kind of number 1, number 27, number 31. You know what I mean? Like, you really got to commit. Like, this is my action plan. I got to do it. And you did it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. My mom is a go-getter. She used to do the STEM program at KCC.
Okay.
So the STEM program was actually this feeder for Hawaiian kids trying to go to Ivy League schools.
Oh, wow.
So she used to tell me growing up and all of us, hey, I don't want to hear it. Figure it out.
That's good. That's good.
So she would have these kids that are not even her own kids. She was telling them, hey, figure it out. Let's go. What we got to do?
Yeah.
Let's get it going. And she sent off people to become doctors and and they still, to this day, they come back and say, oh, auntie, I run into people I don't even know. They're like, oh, I used to go to school with your mom, or I used to work, with your mom. Oh, I love your mom, bro. She's like my second mom, that kind.
I love that how she made you guys figure it out, because I think sometimes, I think in today's society, right, everybody's so busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's lazy because we just give people answers,
Right.
or we figure it out for them.
Right.
Like, hey, just do this, and then boom, they're done asking me questions. They got the answer. Now we move on.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't teach them anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I'm not learning how to be resourceful. Like, hey, I don't know what to do, but I'm gonna figure it out, right?
Right.
And you build resiliency. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the way your mom poured into you guys, are you the only one that has like a business?
So there's 9 of us kids, right? 9 of us, 7 boys, 2 girls.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the middle, the forgotten child.
But the bigger
Yeah,
snicker
my
piece.
brother
You know what I mean?
my brother Kalu is in the middle. So there's 9 of us. 1 left to graduate from college. So we all graduated from college. I mean,
And you guys all went to private schools, right? Or majority?
yeah. So we all went to private school. 3 of us ended up in public school to graduate high school.
Yeah.
A little bit Kolohe, but always respectful. Yeah. But like my sister graduated from Gonzaga.
Dang.
3 of us graduated from UH. One of my Oregon State, Cal Berkeley. But
Well, that's impressive, my man.
my mom and dad, they had a way of like, hey, finish
Yeah.
the race. I think there's 6 of us that have our own business now.
Man, that's so awesome.
I mean, extension from food to like, construction, logistics, like.
It shows that when you have people that support you, that pour into you and love you, and teach you the hard lessons, right? Like, figure
Right.
it out.
Right.
I'm not going to do it for you. You got to figure it out. But it's the success that comes from those learning things, those
Right.
learning blocks, right? Those foundations that are being built that attributes to like your guys' success as a family. You know what I mean? That's awesome, though.
I think our mindset, because my seniors are kind, I heard this once, and I always took this back to my mom too. I could see it in her. I heard this one time is that, when you meet somebody, you have an opportunity to put a coin in their pocket, or maybe if you have a negative encounter with them, you take their last coin in their pocket. And I always thought that. So when I was teaching special ed, I was like, these kids, I might be the only person that they have today where, I'm going to,
Deposit into them.
right.
Yeah.
And these kids are coming from, drug families, homeless, right? I'm grateful to have a lot of coins in my pocket,
Yeah.
and Rock, you're somebody that, you pass out coins,
Yeah.
coins of love, coins of aloha.
Well, same
You
with
know?
you. People deposit into me. You know what I mean? And for us, it's like, hey, what's given to me, I'm going to give it back. You know what I mean?
Right.
So action plan, knock out 100 stuff Monday, 103 stuff the next day. Now opening day, you're all in.
All in. Nervous, never sleep.
I'm sure there's obstacles when you first open it. There's always obstacles, right? Even though you feel like so passionate, I'm on the right path, but there's things that come up. What made you continue to go?
Actually opening, who was more nervous when they found out was my parents and my siblings.
Huh?
My brother flew in the next day from the mainland. And then my parents came, they're like, you know, like,
You for real?
right, you for real. But it was more like, oh, you put yourself, you took this leap. You're in a position of risk, you know. We want to help, you know, we want to see you succeed. We want you to, you know, like.
But such a great support system. You know what I mean? You get your family coming to you, you get your siblings flying in to see you through, man. Like how much of a confidence booster was that for you?
Oh, big time. I can recall my brother cutting cucumbers in the back, you know. I never really grew up with like tons of confidence. You know, I had this like, not fake it till you make it kind of action, but like, you know, I was always, you know, kind of timid, you know, you know, opening the shop, going to opening week. You have to be able to tell, you know, I'm pretty sure all business people, you know, say this or they talk to themselves like, hey, Waikoloa, you strong.
Yeah.
You know, Waikoloa, you're a smart Hawaiian.
That self-talk is I mean, it's important.
Right. You know, and I realized, you know, that my confidence is controlling my thoughts, the gifts that come out of my mouth, the gifts that other people put into the food, put into the mission, you know, the vision of the valley, which is, right, big boys, choke big boys in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Hawaii, we are like top 3 in the world for pre-diabetic. Heart disease is like number 1. And I'm like, I know choke people that get kids. I know choke people that have gone early, left us early.
Yeah.
I was there when Kalana Pakele passed away.
Wow.
He had a heart attack. He was at Maka'a Beach.
Yeah.
I love Kalana. You know, his family, so special.
Yeah.
You know, his 2 kids, his wife, you know, they're special. But he left us early. You know what I mean? Huh?
Yeah.
And we just started to get close. You know, because Kalana, I'm actually, you know, in this group of little bit older guys, but they're so solid. And Kalana just started to, while I've been a part of it, he just started to come around.
Yeah.
And I could see, you know, this beauty of this, you know, getting to know him and all of us, this group. The
relationship was flourishing.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, he had a heart attack out in the water. I wish he was still with us right now.
No, for sure.
But, you know, the Valley mission is, we want to be, you know, this pioneer in between legumes and quinoa and loco moco gravy all over. You know, somebody has to be able to introduce and let everybody know in Hawaii, hey, the food over here that we're grinding at the Valley is just as ono as these other foods.
Yeah.
This has substance. You know, this you can still move.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean,
This, you know, this has life in it.
Yeah.
You know,
how do you bridge that gap? You know, because for me, right? I'll be honest. I've been big my whole life. Weight is something that I've always struggled with. You know, and it's just sometimes really it just comes down to making, you know, better choices, right? Consistently, right?
Right.
So you have your Valley Health Bar, which is a great option. But for somebody like myself, right? Like, how do you bridge that gap to build that comfortableness of, you know, that comfort of just being able to, like, hey, I'm gonna stop in, I'm gonna try that place. You know what I mean? Instead of, I'm gonna turn on that plate lunch. How do you bridge that?
I see. And shucks, I'm a local boy too. You know, I grew up eating, you know, all this, you know, we get so much good food in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So, but it's nice to be able to see people change their mindset.
Yeah.
You know, because, I mean, it's almost 3 years now we've been open. And I've seen so many mindsets change and lives change, you know, by just being a part of this project.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, get wahines that come in, they get their Lululemon on, you know, and then their husband is a big brother walking in like, oh, what am I doing over here?
Right, is this in English? You know what I mean? Like,
you know?
What is that?
You know? And they're like, oh, what am I going to eat over here?
Yeah.
You know, like honey. You
know? This going to even tickle my stomach.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because most big brothers, it's a plate lunch and one cheeseburger. It's one this and that. It's one extra rice and extra max. You know what I mean? So you come to a place like, one salad, that's appetizer or that's, you know what I mean? Like, right?
And I'm conscious of that, you know?
Yeah.
I know that.
Because you can relate, you know what I mean? You have that history of relating to that, you know what I mean?
I know that Hawaii not going to come back if they ate someplace and they never get food. If I eat someplace and I'm still hungry It's like, I don't know if I'm going to go back over there.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm conscious of that. So like when the big brother walk in, or just, construction guys that do construction
in
around,
the area,
they come in, I tell them, like say the big brother come in with his wife, I say, Hawaiian, don't worry. I get a solid sandwich for you. I get this homemade Caesar wrap for you, bro. You're going to like this.
Yeah.
It's like and I tell them like, it's a trust me moment,
Yeah.
And sure enough, they grind them. They maybe eat one salmon plate or infamous Waikoloa Valley sandwich. They grind them. They're like, I can eat like this.
Yeah. And you feel better after.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you pound one heavy plate lunch, you like,
right.
I got to hit the recliner in the car. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? But you can function, right?
Right. It's like on victory.
Yeah.
It's a daily victory for grind good, for eat clean.
That's so on point. It's a daily victory,
Right.
right? We all want to get to end goals. We all want to see the end success. We all want to have that great body, but it's a daily activity that we got to constantly choose the right choices,
right,
over a long period of time.
Right.
That's spot on, my man.
And I try to make it where like the choice is still an equivalent choice to any lunch you're gonna have.
Yeah.
You're gonna pick a lunch. But there's choke benefits to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So no more Waikoloa Valley on top. There's not a Waikoloa Valley on top of the menu. And some people ask you like, hey, where's Waikoloa Valley? And I say, I'm Waikoloa Valley.
Yeah. Because you're talking about the names of your choices, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you name some of the product or things that you have on your menu?
So we have, we have a small menu, but it's it's a strong menu where like the flavors are different, right? All the names of the items are all different valleys.
Okay.
So I went and really.
How'd you come? Like, what was the idea behind? Like, what sparked that in your mind to name it like that?
So me growing up in Waikoloa Valley, my friends in high school, or just my cousins or family members, everybody knows. It's like they call and they're like, "Oh, Wikes, where you stay?" And I'll say, "I'm in the valley," and they already know where I am. So in the valley we have a lane, and down the lane, at the end of the lane, my parents live. In the front is my tutu's house, my uncle's house, which my cousin owns now, my other cousin, my uncle, my auntie, my other cousin.
Oh, dang.
This whole
lane is...
Right.
Wow.
Right. I mean, I think we're the only lane where Seating County came down and put one speed bump because we get kids that play over there still, But that's how the valley, that's why it's called the valley, I try to represent Waikoloa Valley.
When you say represent Waikoloa Valley, right? What do you want to represent specifically?
That's a good one, But I think there's a lot of pride from everybody that comes from different valleys, right? Like Waianae Valley, Kalihi Valley. There's kind of a stigma from that valley,
Yeah.
There's deep history there. If I can say, there's like a strong Catholic side, and then there's the other side where it's like, my uncle guys were part of like Hawaii Syndicate,
Yeah.
And there's like deep roots, both sides, but there's this marriage there, and they respect both sides. We used to go and train at my uncle's house. Out of his small little gym, there's 7 professional football players. I mean, I think.
What was the name of this gym specifically?
It's the Perry Gym. Yeah, Uncle George guys.
They produced Hamos.
Right. If you play football, football.
You know this gym.
There's this excellence about them.
Old school values too, right?
Right. You want to talk consistency? That's consistency. They work. They're not talking story. They're not taking pictures. They're not on Instagram.
Yeah.
You go in there and you training 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
You're working.
Yeah. Even I don't know personally, but it's even stuff like the way you got to dress, right? Like everything is very old school mentality of just focus, right? Focus, and we're gonna work, right?
Yeah, you're not coming. No more cut sleeves over there. That's not, Nobody takes off their shirt over there.
Yeah.
I remember one time one of their shirts was kind of high like this.
Yeah.
And I swear the uncles the whole time was telling them, "Oh, nice your triceps."
Yeah.
And the kid, this kid. No, actually, he wasn't a kid. He's in his like 30s.
Yeah.
And he's not talking trash back to them.
Yeah. He knows that's why.
Country music, that's the only music played.
Oh, yeah?
No more this Mickey Mouse kind of music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, I have been in that. I come from the other side, the strong Catholic side. I mean, I got baptized as a Christian when I was in college, and faith is where it's at.
For sure.
It's such a strong, that's the right foundation to have. But I remember one time I was at Safeway, and this uncle comes up to me because my mom's side, There's 14 of them. So I have 52 first cousins just on my mom's side.
Dang.
Everybody kind of has, that look that they say it's the Reeves Correa look, like this uncle, I don't even know him, comes up to me, he goes, oh, you're a Reeves Correa boy, yeah?
Yeah.
I said, oh, yeah, uncle. He goes, oh, you go Coolio? I said, oh, yeah. He goes, oh, hard for choose, yeah? And he said it in such it wasn't like a bad kind of way. He just says like, oh, it's hard to choose, yeah, boy, which side to be on, yeah?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I never really thought about that, It's true, it's what wolf, right?
Yeah.
What wolf do you feed, right? But the other side was so gracious to us. I don't even know all the kind of action, right? Because even me going there, I just hear the stories, right?
Yeah.
You hear the stories, and then, so you give reverence, you give respect, and you just know, like, you go over here, you train, you work hard, you sweep them up at the end, shake all the uncles' hands, you say thank you. But they were the best.
Yeah.
When we used to sell candy back in the day for fundraising.
Like the almond,
almonds,
yeah.
What was that? Almond Royal?
Chocolate, yeah. The chocolate almond, covered almonds, whatever.
My mom used to tell me, hey, you guys go walk the valley first before you guys go Uncle George's. Because we knew that they're going to take care of us.
Yeah.
Nobody paid 1 cent to go train over there, But
out of love, man.
Right. So we'll go over there, and then at the end, we got maybe like 12 candies. Go over there, all the uncles over there cruising, da-da-da. And then say, oh, uncle, you guys can, support. We're selling this for this, da-da-da. And they're like, of course, grab some cash, da-da-da. Buy the whole box.
Yeah.
And you know what they say? I'll just take one. Keep the chocolates,
Yeah.
But it was always for that.
Going back to representing the valley, right?
Yep.
Is there something that's brewing in you, as a Hawaiian yourself, right? Like, I know that you take such pride of your roots being Hawaiian. Is there something that you really want to represent, give, hope and maybe encouragement to, future generations, or really leave a legacy of, something that you're trying to build?
I am a firm believer that there's smart Hawaiians.
Yes.
There's smart Hawaiians in so many different positions, especially right now. There's this strength that's been brewing, and I'm glad to be able to represent that group. Represent that group where it's like, I'm not saying I'm a genius. I'm saying we are capable. I am capable. You open the valley. Do you want to open up another? And I said, I would love to open up 33 of them.
Wow.
And he's like,
why not? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, why do I just want to do one?
Right. I believe I'm capable of doing that. We are, capable of doing that. But yeah, there's so much smart Hawaiians out there,
Amen.
And even Samoans.
Yeah.
Samoans, like Stigma, like, oh, what's your SAT score? I don't care about SAT scores.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
How are you as a person?
Right.
You know what I mean? How do I treat people? How am I contributing to my community? Those are the questions that really need to be asked.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not
right.
an SAT score.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I believe everything, the sentiment that you said about, like, there's so much good, smart Hawaiians, Polynesians in general. Like, one thing that, for me, that fuels this of getting into this venture of the podcast is that when I was growing up, Samoans had this bad this bad stigmatism of like being gangbangers, being troublemakers, whatever. And I always felt like that was a thing that always kind of just stuck with me to be the driving factor of like just being a great contributor to my community, as in like changing that narrative. You know what I mean? Like I almost love when people underestimate when a Hawaiian or a Polynesian, Samoan, Tongan, whatever it is, walking into a room to be like, hey, you're not qualified to be in this room. You're not smart enough. You don't look like them. But then as soon as they talk to us, right? They start to develop that relationship with us. They understand that, you know what I mean? Like, hey, you have every right to be in here. But sometimes we lack that confidence, right? It's because we kind of play small-minded.
Right.
I want to touch upon something when I first reached out to you to do this podcast. I say, hey, Brother Wakes, would you jump on my podcast? Because I believed in people needing to know like who you are as a person. And your response was like, oh, Brother Rock, I'm not big enough. Why did you feel like you wasn't big enough?
You think about like just, big names, right?
Yeah.
And I guess I don't really look at myself as a big name, and I mean, the phone call is like, oh, it's flattering and humbling at the same time, that somebody like you, Rock, was able to see like, you know, the impact that maybe I have had. My dad, he's like an expert in like, it's called Black's Law, international law, you know, and I never seen somebody read through the same book 7 times.
Wow.
You know, just to master it and go and represent himself in court. I personally think like he's like a genius, because just the way that he's able to like put stuff together, mastermind stuff, I took from him that just like kind of how you were saying, we can sit in any circle.
Yeah.
You know, I know this saying is said a lot where it's like, I treat the CEO the same as the janitor, right?
Yeah.
I know CEOs, you know, and I know janitors, and I care if the CEO is doing okay. There's guys that come into the shop all the time that are big money people. You know, I ask them like, hey, you know, how's your wife doing? What you guys did this weekend?
Yeah.
Because you can feel people. You can feel people if they're okay. Or
you can sense the energy, right?
Yeah. And especially the shop. The shop has been able to connect so many people. You know, people come in and I say like, hey, this is Rocky. He owns the Village podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so and so. He owns this business. Oh, this is so and so. He's a professional. He's running for da 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 da.
I mean, it was kind of like the day when I came in, because had Whit come in, owner of Hybrid Security. I believe Keith Amemia's wife stopped through. The girl that sat down with me at lunch that day was a nurse, and she's, you know, aspiring to be, you know, a doctor and stuff. So yeah, like the relationships and the networks is all there. Is there, you know, as you've established your foot in this business and as you have grown and been on this journey for a little bit, what has that done for your confidence through the business? Well, like, what have you learned? And maybe what are some of the obstacles and failures that you went through, but you know what, you look back like, man, I needed to go through that to grow.
Right. You have to believe in yourself.
For sure.
You know, you have to believe in your product. You have to believe in like what you present to the world. I remember when we first started, you know, we used to have a little joke, and I'll go walk to the back where, you know, everything's being prepared and stuff like that. I'd say, oh, gonna make it or what? You're gonna have the good days before or the bad days now. I found out that you're not gonna always have great days.
Yeah.
You learn to be grateful for what you have. And when the good comes, you learn to be grateful for that too. Yeah, just to know that the mindset was strong enough to continue. I do believe that, you know, if you keep going, one day it just happens. It just clicks. And Rock, I know this is just a second, you know, podcast for you or whatever, you know, and I know you're going to be successful.
Appreciate that.
I know this is going to go in positions and that you can't even see right now.
Yeah.
The world that you're opening up right now, there's so many things that are going to open up because of this, you know? And I am a living testament of that opening up the valley, you know?
Yeah.
I enjoy going to work. You know, I enjoy being around. Like, I don't even need a social life anymore, you know?
I mean, you have it all right there, you know? Like, I sat in there, have lunch one day, and I was just like, man, this is a dope environment. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know who this person was. Talk your story. I can hear you talking with each person that comes in. I remember a guy coming up, hey, brother, how you doing? You know, like, how was your stuff last week? Like, you remember things. You mean, like, and that's the social life, right? It's like you're doing something that you love, and it's feeding into you everything that you need.
Right.
Like, how amazing is that, right? To be able to, you know, experience that. You know what I mean?
You know, I've seen a lot of good come out of those doors, you know? And for everybody, I appreciate having kindness also around me.
You know, as we kind of get towards wrapping this up, being where you're at now, what would you say or maybe give some tips to like the old version of yourself?
I don't think I would give them too much advice. Because, you know, you're built through experiences.
Yeah.
You know, so if you take some stuff away, you re-alter, then maybe you re-alter yourself, you know?
Yeah. You wouldn't be where you're at right now.
Right.
The experiences.
You know? Don't get me wrong, you know, sometimes you wish you could take back a few stuff, but, you know, the good Lord teaches you some lessons in funky ways.
Yeah.
And you gotta take them, you gotta eat them, and you gotta keep going.
Yeah.
Hawaii, we're so blessed over here. I mean, when I say I love Hawaii, like, I remember being in turbulence coming back from China.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, if I'm going to die, I hope I die in Hawaiian waters. I don't know why I thought that, but just my heart, that's just what I feel, you know, what I felt at that time, you know. And
Hawaii means so much to you. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's who you are, you know? You live it.
you know, yeah, I love Hawaii, you know. And if you live here, I hope you love Hawaii too.
Mhm.
I know it's a tough environment right now too. Yeah, Hawaii.
Yeah.
Hawaii's got, you know, kind of getting spooky here and there. I'd rather be part of the intertwining of aloha, meeting aloha, giving aloha, 100%.
You know, we didn't touch upon this earlier, but your papa was...
He was a hammer, you know, 14 kids. He was chief of police in the 40s. He was the first heavyweight boxer. He was part of the group, you know, to start PAL.
Yeah.
You know the silhouette PAL?
So if you guys don't know PAL, the Police Activities League, for a lot of you know youngsters or people that grew up in the program, there's a silhouette or like that, you know, that image.
It's him holding a young boy and a young girl.
So that image of the PAL is your papa.
That's my papa.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
He's holding my auntie La'anui and my uncle Alex.
Wow.
That's the silhouette. Yeah, if you see the original book. And PAL is community.
Yeah.
And I think that's where my mom got it too, which passed it on to us.
Mhm.
Where it's like, she's always like, hey, get over there and go help your auntie guys. Hey,
Yeah.
we're going to do something family. Everybody come here, you know? Everybody going to cut tomatoes. Everybody going to cut onions.
See, that's good because nowadays everybody's so like, you go somewhere, everybody all scattered. And a lot of time people on their phones. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
people
Right.
just kind of to themselves, and it's
Right.
like, but you miss out the essence of being around everybody,
Right.
that community. You know
Right.
what I mean?
And my mom used to say that, just be there. So
Be present.
Right.
You know
She
what I mean?
used to tell me, you know, just go sit with Tutu. Go sit with Papa. That's funny, you know, some of my people that maybe I have a beer with,
Yeah.
right, is these old timers.
But that's the best
You
ones
know?
because they're gonna talk about stories. You're
Right.
like, "Ah,"
Right.
like you put yourself back in their day,
Yeah.
and you be like, man, like that.
And it's so
yeah.
funny, you know, some of them is like, yeah, back in my day, our team was good because had me, you know, and I just crack up. You know, if there's a funeral, say like a Saturday or something, two funerals and a party, and my mom will be like, okay, me and dad is gonna go to this and then go end up over there, or if there's something on the big island, like, you know, she'll send one of us. So there's always like a family member, you know, representing the Noahs that like, hey, we're here.
Yeah.
You guys need anything? Like, this is one thing I can stand on is that, you know, my siblings, they might not always be there for the fun times.
Yeah.
But if they're your friend, they're going to be there for the tough times. That's automatic. I put 3, and I say this, and I hope, you know, my words come out, you know, with the big guy talking here, you know, is that through his strength, I was able to put 3 of my own friends into rehab, you know? Get a grip, yeah, my friends. You know, but I mean,
And you didn't have the resources personally,
right,
but he made a way for you to make it happen.
right, you know, you just,
That's good.
you know, and there's still stuff that are around my life right now. You know, I know they need help, but now I'm kind of seasoned. I don't just dive in half okole, you know? So if I'm going to go in, I want to have like a plan, a team, like we're going to do it at one time, bang, you know?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you going, you know, one of the guys we sent to Big Island, you know, one of them was sent to Dream City in LA. One of them went to Kaneohe, Habitat. And I think about that too, like, you're not supposed to be doing all this kind of work at your age.
Yeah.
You know, some stuff just happen, and you got to make it happen to figure it out because, you know, you love them, you know?
Amen.
I would say one of the gifts that has been elaborated back to me too is that, you know, hopefully my ears can be bigger than everything else. Because there's people that come, if they're having, you know, hard time or somebody's having stuff, people call me like, oh, like this guy is da-da-da. And they're saying it like, I know that you're a place of action, you know? But
You can get it done.
right. I've seen my parents help so much people. I've seen my tutu help so much people.
I want to touch upon that. So I usually ask a question of, you know, because we want to focus on people's trials, right? The things that that almost was meant to break them, but the overcoming of it, right?
Right.
But what does it mean for you? Maybe it doesn't have to be a hard time. We can flip this question, but maybe it's more so of having the community that you had growing up, right? The
Right.
people that just was your solid foundation, the people that poured into you, love you, from your
Right.
parents, grandparents, aunties, and uncles.
Uh-huh.
what does it mean for you to be a community for others? Like our thing is the village. It's a community, right? Like how important is it for you to be that for other people? Like being that you put 3 friends through rehab, being that, hey, if you're going through tough times, myself and my family will be there for you. How important is that for you to represent that community for others?
Yeah, I mean, because the ones that did it before me have represented it so well. You know, the torch is being passed down to us now. You know, and I want to hold that high, and I want that flame to continue to burn after I'm gone. And I've seen the good that has come out of the communities that I was raised in. Yeah, I guess you could say it's a privilege to be one of those people that sit on that board now. You know, and I take the responsibility, because sometimes it's not easy. But to see the end result, where one of my friends that I'm holding, because he's trying to commit suicide and jump out of the car. Wow. To see him now be so elevated and have life, and the life that he brings to me and everybody else that he's around, you know, that's it. You know, that's it right there. Yeah. You know, to see people succeed, to see people, you know, my friend just opened up a restaurant. I ate at his restaurant every day for a whole month. I don't even eat that kind of food too often, you know. I don't care. You know, I'll be there, you know. Yeah. I'll go drink on coffee. You know. Yeah. You know, I'll let him know I believe in you. I love you.
And your love is shown through actions. You know, easy for say I support you, right? But I'll go eat at your shop for a whole month, even though that's not my type of food, you know. But because I really do love you, it goes back to how you were raised. What's ingrained in you, right? Right. Like I love you enough to support you through my actions. Yeah. How does it feel to be that type of village, that community for others? Like, what does it make you feel like inside?
Yeah, and being part of a village like that is, I feel like a Hawaii mindset. I mean, I get some clothes that isn't like branded, you know, but I try to use, you know, Hawaii clothing. Yeah. You know, like I stay at the shop and I get my friend's restaurant shirt on. I get, you know, this other Hawaiian family that they are water cultivators. I support that. I wear that, you know.
Just like us today, like we're the village. I have a clothing brand, but supporting Missing Polynesia today, you know, they support us. We want to give a shout out to them, you know, like, but it's just like that. We're able to support other people. And it's not because, you know, we're not focused on putting us on a platform. We're focused on being able to help bring others up. Yeah, right? Like absolutely. That's the feeling, right?
Me, like sometimes, you know, like before I used to get shamed for wearing my own stuff. Yeah. Like what? You know? Yeah. That's like going to the gym with cut sleeves because you have big arms. You know,
the triceps.
Right. You know, I just never really grew up that style, but I see the Valley brand around now. People wear it, you know.
How does that make you feel when you see other people wearing the brand? You know?
I you know, I get stoked. You know, I mean, somebody just sent one picture. This brother is wearing one Valley shirt in Japan. You know, I took the picture, you know, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I just seen one random uncle, he had our golf shirt on. And I hope that the brand is, I wear this because I'm part of fighting the good fight.
Amen, man. It's not just a t-shirt. It's not just it's what it represents.
Right. You know,
I'm for the meaning.
Right. I hope, you know, I hope that the Valley is a brand of, you know, of aloha for sure. Amen. You know, a brand of Hawaii. Yeah. I want to make Valley shirts.
Let's get it done, my man.
You know, I mean, but I think there's a goodness, and glad to be a part of goodness, like, you know, the Village podcast. You know?
I appreciate that. We all support each other. Because even like you mentioned to me before, right? You go to places because, like you said, you go support your friend's shop, right? But when you support somebody, you know that you're helping pay somebody's mortgage. You're helping somebody support their grandkids or, you know, their kids through college, right? Like, it's those things that you keep in mind when you support others, right?
Yeah, and you gotta, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I send all kind of people over there and that kind of action, you know, and that's me, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And that's why we had you on today, is because you are such a genuine and authentic person, you know? And sometimes, right, we grew up in Hawaii. We're almost taught to play. I mean, humble can be used against us at times, right?
It's kind of scary.
It's scary, yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't want to receive that, right? It's because it's like you're always taught growing up, I guess, in our culture, right, to just be behind the scenes, be in the shadows. Don't do this kind of stuff. Right. You know what I mean? Like, hey, somebody tells you, oh, you're pretty good, huh? Most times, like, nah. I'm not that
Right.
good. You know what I mean? But then
Yeah.
people don't know the amount of work you do to be good, right? The investments that you got to make in yourself to be where you're at. You know what I mean? And I think there's a way to kind of, like you said earlier, right? There's a way to marriage things.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way to marriage being humble but being confident without being arrogant. And I think that was a huge reason why I asked you to be on, is because I know your mentality is not to stand out.
I was scared to come.
Yeah.
I was scared to come in this. You know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, your private life. You know. But
But you are your brand and you live it. You're a true ambassador. You know, like I really do think, like, if Aloha had a Pictionary, your picture would be right by it.
Pictionary.
Be like that. You know what I mean? Like,
and
but
this,
you know, that is.
I appreciate that. You know, those kind words. And this, you know, there's a lot of people that have, you know, certain types of genuine aloha. You know, in Hawaii. You know, I love to be around them. You know, like yourself. You know, like aloha is alo is your body, your essence. Ha is your breath. So alo is life. You know, aloha is breath of life. You know. And I always think about that, because do you speak life? Does life come out of you?
That's good.
I get a little bit of chicken skin, but I hope life always comes out of me and to other people. Because, you know, there's been times that hasn't always been the case. You know, there's moments where of like, oh, I wish I never say that.
Yeah.
Even I mean, that has come less and less, you know. Just my walk in, you know, those thoughts is not, you know, aloha, you know, I'm glad I can, you know.
Yeah, it
give
comes
life.
out of you and it goes into others. You know what I mean?
Right. As I have spiritually matured, you know, just life experiences, and the Valley has helped with this a lot. My confidence now is, you know, I speak life to myself.
Come on.
Spooky being on something like this where you're showing and sharing your stuff, where it's like, okay, oh, now you have to be not even better, but like, oh, there's no room for
Error.
Yeah, there's no room for error, you know.
You gotta be perfect. You know what I mean? Like, I'm on this platform. I gotta be. You know what I mean?
Right, but it's a privilege to take on such a good challenge like that.
Yeah.
To anybody ever that I didn't speak life to, or there was a moment that my heart, you know, apologized for that, you know. But just like anybody, you know, like everybody gonna fall. We gotta get back up. Gotta get back up quick.
Yeah.
You know, I always think about, like, you know, people get choke problems, right? People get problems all over, and no problem is smaller than the other. If we can find joy, how do you say it? Instead of taking your problem and putting it to the forefront, put your gratitude in the forefront.
Come on.
That can maybe shine onto somebody else, you know?
No, and it goes back to you being authentic is greater than perfection. You know what I mean? We don't live a perfect life. The journey is never perfect.
Right.
But I think being authentic to ourselves finds that grace, you know, that fills that gap of trying to be a perfect life. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's also that outlook, like you're trying to point out, is like, how don't focus on the problem. Focus on the good.
If we want people to follow good, we have to be able to show that good is awesome. To be a part of the good team is, you know, be a part of Team Aloha, Team Goodness, Team Faith. You have to be able to show that, oh, that's a good team to be a part of.
Yeah, for sure. Because we live in a broken world.
You know?
I mean, from the time in the morning, say you stop by someplace to get your order wrong.
Right.
You're around people who are just gossiping, talking all kind of mad stuff. Like, it's just feeding into, even though it's not a directive, that you're a part of that direct conversation. Things at work. So if you're not being intentional about putting good in your life by the things you read, by the things you talk, by relationships that you have with people like yourself, it's gonna be hard to feel that goodness. But that's why they need pioneers like yourself to live it, to lead it. You know what I mean? To be the trailblazers of, I'm Team Aloha. You know, I live it. You know, like we're about this. And it trickles down to, you know, when people see it and they're around it more, eventually it's like your cousin, right? I don't say I love you in the beginning, but because you constantly stay consistent with it, wow, you opened me up to be, you know, bro, I love you too, Vikes. You know what I mean?
Consistent aloha.
Amen, my man. Hey, but you know, we got to wrap it up. You have any closing remarks?
It's a privilege to be on here, bro.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, thank you. And I hope to continue to do justice from all the aloha that's been shown to me in my lifetime.
Amen.
You know, I hope to continue that on today and always, you know, and proud of you, Big Rock.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, once again, thank you.
No, for sure. You know, you're doing everything you just said, man. You know what I mean? You're not faking it till you make it. You are it. You know, you're living it day by day, and people like us appreciate that. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. You know, if it was your first time tuning in, it wasn't by accident. There was definitely something that you needed to hear. And I hopefully in this conversation with Waikoloa today, you heard it. As you leave this podcast, we hope to give you some value you can take on and spread that aloha like he's talking about. But thank you guys. Aloha.